What's up, guys? How are we? Today I'm going to be going through the patch notes for Season 16. This is the first patch. It's rolled out. It is live right now on Korea and OS and stuff like this. This is on the Korean server, so I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the builds and all that and the changes the Riot have made to items and what I think is going to be best for AD Shaco. I'm not going to talk about AP because I think it's like largely the same, but AD, there are some changes and I'm going to give my thoughts and yeah, explain everything. In terms of builds, what I think is going to be mandatory on the Shack are these two items. You have to, I don't want to say like you have to understand as if you guys don't, but it's very important to understand. There we go. It's very important to understand that Shaco is a champion that doesn't really have much innate strength. And I guess it's like lots of assassins, like you only really get going when you have items. And not just major items, but the components you build are very, very important. For example, if we look at this Umbral Glaive that they've changed and they've given it more attack damage, lethality, ability haste, I'm pretty sure is the same, but they also have Night Stalk here, so if you read that for me, after being unseen by enemies briefly, so basically after you queue in, your next attack against a champion deals an additional true damage. Very, very useful, of course, and it's perfect for Shaco. It's also not that expensive, but the big positive for this item is that if you look at the items that you have to build before you get Umbral Glaive, it's longswords, it's dirks, the Warhammer doesn't really do anything, but it builds out a serrated dirk and longswords, and that's why this is such a good item. This kind of just stamps it for me, and that's what I look at whenever I'm building an item on Shaco. So I think I'm going to be rushing this season. And you've still got like the killing the wards thing, which is the same. It's just gone up 300 gold basically, but you get more from it and extra damage when you queue in and hit someone over the head, obviously. So I'll be rushing this, and paired with these items that I'm going to show you, I'm probably always going to go Lucidity Boots. Again, I'm not sure what they're called here because I've clicked on this, but I'm probably going to go Lucid Boots just because the ability haste is so nice. I don't think you need anything else on Shack. You can see here from these games, I'm rushing Umbral Glaive and building Lucidity Boots every game. It just feels really nice to have cooldown on your things. It means you can clear a little bit, not maybe quicker because you're dealing less damage, I guess. If you go like Berserker Greaves, you have more DPS, but I still think the haste is super valuable. And what you really want as Shack is to get in there and use as many Qs when you're playing AD Shaco, that is as possible. So that's why I think that's very important. And yeah, this second item is what they've introduced this season. This is called Bastion Breaker. Not sure why it's called that because it sounds like a bruiser item. But if you just look at the stats for me, 55 AD is pretty standard, but 22 lethality, 15 ability haste as well. Those two stats are just like king on Shack. AD is obviously like good, but lethality and ability haste are, for me anyway, like the two big stats that you want in an item. And we didn't really have much ability haste last season because Ghostblade didn't have it, Opportunity didn't have it, Serpent's Fang, Edge of Night, none of these items have it. But for these two items that you can rush with Lucidities to have haste here, like how much haste are you going to have? That's 30 plus 10. You're going to have 40 haste. And I'm not sure how much that's going to equate to. 2 or 3 seconds on your spells. I think that's legit, especially on the basic spells, right? Ultimate doesn't really matter too much. But same with Umbral Glaive. If you look at this item and what it builds out of, you have Dirk. So if I were playing, I would be getting Dirk before Brutalizer. Even if I had gold for Brutalizer, I'm still probably going to get Dirk and then the Moat, for instance. You can maybe go like Pickaxe and Longsword, but again, like at this stage in a game, which is going to be early to mid-game when you're building this, lethality is still king. Not many champs are going to start building armor, especially those people you want to kill, like enemy AD carry, mid laners. If their jungler is squishy, which they're probably going to be, if you're versing PDF champs like Xin Zhao Wukong, they might have steel caps already. But you're not really worried about that. You're not worried about killing the Wukong. It's about the enemy squishies, right? And sometimes it can be their jungler. So if it's an Echo, if it's Evelyn, if it is just a champion without armor, you can do a lot of damage when you have lethality stacked. So that's what I think my build is going to be. And then after this, you kind of just flex, right? So I think this will be cool, definitely. And then after this, you can flex. So Serpent's Fang against shields. You can go Edge of Night if you feel as if the enemy team has kind of scary skill shots. So you don't really need any more damage. That's what I think anyway after these two. You've got 22 with this. And I've also forgot to mention here, you've got Shaped Charge. So dealing ability damage to a champion or epic monster deals an additional damage. And then you've also got, like, after killing someone or getting a takedown, your next attack against an epic monster or turret deals more damage. Not really, like, useful. It doesn't do anything for Shack, to be honest. I mean, it is kind of useful if you want to, like, you know, I think that also applies for dragons as well, right? Like the epic monsters. But yeah, this will still be kind of useful. But the main one is like the ability damage thing, yes. And obviously like the stats here. So I think you have enough damage with these items. And after that, for your third major item, that's where we're really flexing, right? So we're going to be looking for Edge of Night, Serpent's Fang. You can go Ghostblade if you're really snowballing and you're like, I don't really need anything here. Like, the enemy team is not building armor. They don't have shields. They don't really have any scary skill shots. I think it'll be quite rare, but you can go this third. And the other one here that I think is going to be prominent for me anyway is LDR. Even though this thing is 3,300, they've given the Giant Slayer passive back, which is really nice. And I know it also looks weird because you're building this without any other crit item. So if you have LDR, the 25% crit is kind of negligible because you really want 50% crit to actually use any crit in an item. So just having this on its own, we're using it for armor penetration, and that's honestly about it. And even like in the previous season, I was building this third. The best Shaco in Korea does the same thing. If you are going against lots of armor, so I'm talking even if the enemy AD carry has steel caps, like as their second or third item, some of them do it. If their mid laner is building Zhonya's, even if you're anticipating that, I think it's good just to get this early, because that's one problem that you're solving, right? Even if you're anticipating it. You still need to know they're going to build it, though. Obviously, spending 3,300 gold and then they don't build armor would be really troll. But you guys will have a feeling if they will. Especially when you press tab and you see cloth armors, right? So very, very important, like, third item here. If the enemy team has armor, even if it's just like the enemy jungler, you probably don't need, once again, any more damage than you've got here, right? So even if it's just the enemy jungler, like a Wukong or Xin Zhao, who you want to get through, you want to deal damage to, because you're already going to kill the Lucian, you're already going to kill the Syndra mid lane, you're already going to kill the Janna support, right? You probably don't need anything else but this, just to get through the Aurelia top who's really fed with steel caps, or the Darius with steel caps who's really fed, or the Wukong jungle with steel caps. So I think this will actually be very popular for me anyway. And after that, Cyclo Sword as well is an option here. You could even go something like that. But for me, I love rushing this item because of the flat damage it gives you. When I build it later, I just don't appreciate it as much. But of course, like, it's viable. You guys can build it. Same with Ghostblade. You can also offer something like Opportunity, which is still there because, you know, it's 2,700 gold. It's really cheap. But that's what I think I'll be building. And my full build will probably look something along the lines of this. And of course, you can build more crit after this, right? You can go IE, which they change. Not sure how good this is. We still have to, like, kind of see it. But these are options. You know what I mean? I think if you go LDR, going Infinity Edge after this is just kind of a no-brainer. We also have Essence Reaver that they changed, so you've got, like, the Spellblade damage back. I'm pretty sure they changed that. But this item, if you look at the components, guys, like, this is just an item that does nothing, bro, for Shaq. Like, Sheen is kind of okay unless you're maxing Q first. So for me, I would only buy Essence Reaver as, like, 5th item. So if I have something like this, right, let's just say I have as a standard kind of build. Let's just say I have this here. I'm only going to go Essence Reaver, like, after all those items, and that will be my full build. But even then, like, you might just want to go Serpent's Fang because they have a lot of shields now. Like, they have Locket and, I don't know, shield bows and all that. Even if they don't have shields in their kit, their abilities, you're like, wow, these champs have, there's Archangels, shield bow, Locket, all that stuff. You might just want to go Serpent's Fang here. So I don't know if I'm going to build that much. If I'm really fed, I might. But in terms of crit item, like, I think it's just awful. Like, these components are just so bad. So if I can afford 2,900 gold, like, I've just got it sitting there, and it's like a late game item, I might just buy it. But again, I'm probably going to spend that gold on something more valuable, right? So those are the items, I think, for AD Shaq. As far as runes go, I really don't think anything is changing, and it will just be very standard. That's what I'm going to be going. If I'm against lots of kiting champions, so ranged champions, so if I'm against a Kindred or a Graves or Nidalee in the jungle, I'm always going to take this. If I'm against something more melee or something I know I'm going to stick to, I'll just go Cosmic. Really useful to have more ignites in a game. It's like the most important spell on Shaq, to be honest. And yeah, I think that's about it for runes. I don't think there's anything else to discuss here because they haven't really changed anything. So pretty standard. You can go flat HP. For some reason, I just like the scaling HP. And yeah, that will probably just be my rune page. I don't really think this changes all too much, but I do think the approach velocity is useful if you're versing champions with movement speed, kite, and stuff. Even stuff like Lilia, Hecarim, it can be useful against. You can even go Voltaic Cyclo Sword against those champions for the slow. It's very useful, but I don't know if you need it. I think Umbral Glaive and Bastion Breaker are just so good, and if you're a good enough Shaco player, you should be able to one-shot those champions with a combo anyway, without the slow from Voltaic. So that's my opinion on the builds and runes. Let me get into practice tool and show you guys the clears that I think you have. Well, I'm not going to go through full clears and everything. You guys can do that, and who cares about that. You're really picking AD Shaco to cause havoc early game. And you still can do it. It's just harder. So, yeah, let me show you what we're talking about here. This is awkward, isn't it? How was your Christmas, mate, and your New Year's? So what I'm going to show you guys is the clear that I will be using most of the time in Season 16. So I'm going to practice tool here, by the way. So in an actual game, you'll be running out at about 15 seconds, and you will be able to place your first box on this camp at about 25 seconds, right? So you'll be running out like this with home guards, running like a lunatic, and you can place this box anywhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter too much. I like going a little bit to the right, but you could probably even place it around here. And what we're going to do here afterwards is we're also going to box to the right of the camp. So away from the camp so it doesn't get triggered, but so these raptors actually move into it after we proc the raptors with that box, right? So we're going to box like this. And then what we're going to do is run around the back of the camp kind of thing. And what we're going to do is place our next box as soon as we can, like in this position. And you'll be able to do this at 55 seconds. And then we're also going to smite the big raptor, okay? So we're going to go like that, and then we're going to go through mid, through the back of it. If you get seen, it doesn't really matter too much. The point of this clear is to attack the enemy jungler on raptors or their red buff as soon as possible. So if they're on raptors here and you see this, you can just run in and push them off the camp. You can ward this, and what normally happens if the enemy jungler is here, they will ward this brush just like you have, and they will run off to bot side, okay? If they do that, so they start raptors, they ward, and then they run off, they're probably going to go to your red, yeah? Because they can see you don't have it. So what they're going to be thinking is, oh, if the Shaco takes my red buff, which is what you should do, if the Shaco is going to take my red buff here, then I'm definitely going to take his. And what junglers will do is run straight to your red buff here. So what you want to do if that's the case is you finish this red buff as soon as you can. Obviously, you won't have smite, so that's just me turning the cooldowns off in a practice tool. And when you get this red buff, you Q over and you recall. That puts your Q on a quicker cooldown, by the way, because your Q's cooldown actually starts after you exit the stealth. So if you exit stealth with a recall, it will go off cooldown like straight away. And you can see if I ever ran into their jungler here, my Q's up immediately. And we just want to cover our red. Now it's important to remember here, not because I've said it already, that red buff might give me level 3. So if I like see this up, red buff might give me 3, but what I like to do here is actually do Krugs. Because if you haven't got any experience from mid lane, so if you've got no experience like leeched from the minions dying, you won't actually hit level 3 off red buff. So what you can do is do your Krugs, and Krugs will always give you level 3 here. And if the enemy jungler is trying to counterplay and doing your red buff at any moment, you're in a great position because you'll hit 3 off Krugs and you can just kill them, right? Because there's no way a red buff Shaco with Ignite and Howler Blades early game is going to lose to anyone. As long as you box like on the camp itself, you should be fine, right? So this is something you could do. And if they're on the camp, you just go in and like just crack them over the head. If they're not on the camp, you can just start it. You can contest crab. You can do so many things, right? It depends on the game and what's actually happening. But that's a very standard like early clear and what it would look like for Shaco, right? Early game. Unfortunately, I don't think there's actually a reliable, and when I say reliable, I mean 100% way every single game it works to clear this raptor camp with just 3 boxes without smiting. So I'll show you what I mean. And if it works, that's great, but it doesn't work for me anyway all the time. So if you guys can find a clear that works all the time, you guys are the goats. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you guys are the goats. So first box will be placed at 25, right? Next box will be placed, let's just put this next box maybe around here at like 40 seconds, and your next box will be 55. So this clear here I was trying to like do, but it's so difficult to get it like perfect. So your next box will be placed there, right? And all you do is run through mid. The difference with this clear compared to the one where you smite is literally you have smite, right? So I'm going to run in here with smite available, and that's the only difference, but smite doesn't really matter too much. You'll see here this will actually work this time, but it's so unreliable, man, and I don't know how to get it working like every single time. So if you guys can find a way where that works every game, you guys are the goats, because I can't. But sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. Again, I would use this clear every single game if it was reliable and consistent, but I don't think it is. And the other one, which is kind of more consistent and reliable, is where you kind of just box normally. So you'd run in, right, again, just straight out of base, and you're going to box in the middle here. I'm just waiting until I can put my boxes down, right? So again, at 25 seconds, 40 seconds, and 55, don't worry about the times I'm actually placing them down. Next one, you want to put it like on this little yellow pebble. So there's one big one there to the top right. You can place it on that. You can probably even put it on this one, to be honest. And then your next box, what we're going to do is go around like this. The issue, though, with this is what you're going to see here. It's so slow, bro. Like, you get into their top side jungle or their red buff quadrant. Obviously, that would be placed at 55, right? So I'm going to wait until 55. Now I'd be running. you're going to get into their topside jungle, man, at like 115. And that's 20 seconds after, like, raptors and shit, you know? So it's such a late and slow clear. And even if it's, like, really reliable, which it looks like here, it's not really the point because you're running in and they're probably doing raptors already. You know what I mean? So it's like 5-6 seconds slower. And I just don't like it because raptors are going to be gone and there's no real pressure. They could even just be moving up to Krugs. And it's still not so bad, but I just like the smite one because it's way quicker. And against good junglers who clear properly and kite the camps properly, I think it makes a big difference. But it's still not bad, so you guys can try it and see how it goes. The advantage is you have smite, but you're losing 5-6 seconds on the clear, which I think is vital. So those are the initial clears, I think, for Shac that are going to be used the most. Obviously, you can still start red buff and you put another box at Krugs, but because you only have like 2 boxes really for that. By the way, if you're going to do this clear, make sure you do it like this, yeah. So if you're going to do the red buff start, let's just say you don't want to start raptors or whatever. Oh yeah, and I'll show you the wolves clear as well. If you're just going to start red buff again, don't worry about the time I'm putting my boxes down, but your first box would be on red, your second box would be on Krugs, yes? So if you put your second box at red buff, you're going to have to run down to Krugs. Because remember, your third box is at 55 as soon as these camps spawn. So you want to put your second at Krugs, and your third box will be at 55 seconds, right, when red buff spawns. So if you don't put it at red, you're going to have to stand here and box Krugs and then run all the way back to red, right? So it would be like this. Nice backstab, by the way. So it'd be like this, right? And you'll probably smite this as well, to be honest. So then you can just go to Krugs and box it straight away. You'd have to as well, right? So it'd be something like this. Oh, I love this game, bro. Something like this, yeah. Just make sure your last box, don't put it down just yet. Put it down at like maybe 400 HP. Something like that. No backstab, by the way. So something like this is good. You just run off. So it's not like the quickest clear, to be honest, but it's still not bad, right? Make sure you clear like this so you get the backstab on the big raptor. Run like that. Just keep going backwards and forwards. You should get backstab every time. Sometimes you might get stuck like that. That's just how the game is because they hate Shaco. And yeah, you just run off to your next camp, right? And it's pretty quick, but again, like, the enemy jungler's pretty happy if you're doing this and not running at them level 1, 2, right? So, yeah. We want an uneven game. We want a chaotic early game. That's what Shaco's about. And, yeah, you can still do that clear. And the other clear is where you start wolves. So if you press tab and the enemy team has Darius, Nautilus, Kalista, LeBlanc, Silas, something like this, or any level 1 jungler who's kind of okay, like Wukong, for instance, you're going to lose level 1 and get invaded, right? For sure here. It's the obvious invade. So what you do is run to wolves instead. The great thing about running to wolves is that you might... it's probably the same, actually, as running to raptors. But what you want to do is just put boxes at wolves and that's it. And after you do wolves, you're probably going to have to smite it. Same as raptors, right? And then you run in. Now, this clear is actually kind of useful because the enemy jungler will probably think you're just kind of clearing without thinking of invading them, right? So if the enemy jungler invades you here, oh, Shaco's not here. All right, so he's probably starting blue or red buff, and that's it. So it's actually kind of nice because they're not going to expect you to invade them level 1 or level 2 here. So what you're going to do is this, right? So we do this, put the last box down. You can smite it if you want to. I'm probably going to smite it here just so I get that quicker. You control Q, you Q. This blast cone will be up, so I'll be hitting it about here, right? And then you run in. And you can see how this clear is still nowhere near as quick as smiting over the wall here and running in, but sometimes you're going to have to if you want to get into the enemy jungle like as quick as possible, you know? And you've got to smite that as well. So it's a bit unfortunate, it's a bit annoying, it's just like how the champ is right now. But that's the other option, and I'm probably going to use this if I can't start raptors. So if I want to do something to the enemy jungler, I'm starting wolves, and I'm just going to run in like this. Same thing here, right? 3 boxes, third box at 55, you Q, you B, so you have your Q up straight away, you blast cone in like this, and you'll be a little bit quicker, yeah? So those are the clears. That's what I think about Shac, guys, and at the start of this season. Yes, like the clear nerfs because they like reduced the monster damage or something, pet damage, whatever it was. We just have to deal with them, but you can. And the items are nice for us, like really nice, especially the extra haste and like damage we have when we stealth and all that. So we should be pretty happy, to be honest. I'm excited to try this shit. But those are my first thoughts. Hopefully the clears were useful. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. Any comments, let me know how you guys go in Season 16 and what you think in terms of items that are working for you. Let me know your builds and all that. And yeah, good luck out there. Don't be shit, bye.